Good afternoon, everyone. So some of my students have been having trouble finding the letter names of the staff. The staff is this 5 lines and 4 spaces here that we write music notes on. And that tells us its pitch, whether it's high or it's low. So when you see notes that are written for flute, the ones we're used to reading have the letter names in them. But that's not the way that music really is written most of the time. So we need to know what pitches we're playing when we see notes on the staff. So that's what this video is about. Anyway, the staff is these 5 lines and 4 spaces here that we write music on. Let's count the lines because they have numbers, and we'll count the spaces. So this is line number. We always count from the bottom in music. This is line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, and line 5. So the bottom one is line 1, the top one is line 5. The spaces, same thing, count from the bottom. Space 1, space 2, in between the lines. Space 3, space 4. There's only 4 spaces and 5 lines. Now, right now they're just lines. But when I put a clef on it, that tells it, clef is a word that means key. When I put a clef on it, that tells me what the letter names are. So when I write this clef, and you guys have seen this before, you probably think of it as a music symbol, but it's called a treble clef, and that tells me what the lines and spaces are called on this staff line here. It's also called a G clef because it used to be written as a letter G, and it got all fancy, and they eventually changed it to this. But what the G does is it circles this second line here. This second line here is called the G line if we're on a treble clef. We have a treble clef. That means that this line that's circled is the G line, and this line is then G. Every space and line has its own letter name. So if this one is G, if we go higher, then the next place is the next letter of the alphabet, but G is the last one in music, so we start again at A. So this space here, because it's the next place after G, is A. The next, now A is a space note, it's in a space, it doesn't have a line through it. The next place on this staff is this middle line here, and this middle line, if this space is A, the middle line is then B. G is the line, A is the space, B is the line. Now this means for the whole way, this line could go on to Arizona. They would always be the same name. This is an A space. If it's over here, it's still A. No matter where it is, it's still A if it's in that second space from the bottom. Let me erase those real quick. So tell me what the next ones are going to be. If this line is G, that space is A, this line is B, then the next place, which is the space above B, the B is a line, the space has to be letter C. Now, past that, what we know on the flutophone, the next place after this C space is this next line higher, so that's letter D. And when we play this on the flutophone, it goes from lower to higher. When you put down, and we've been talking about this on the assignments I've been giving, when you put down more fingers on your flute, it makes a lower pitch, right? And here it is. This clef tells us pitch. So this is lower than that. So if we played this G, A, B, C, D, I don't know if those are the right pitches. I was a little too high. G, A, B, C, D. So they go higher this way, they go lower back down this way. So anyway, if I write a note here, if I write this quarter note here, well, a quarter note has a note head and a stem, and wherever that note head is, that's what letter we're looking at. So where does this note head? This quarter note's note head has this G line going right through it. That means this is a G. So if I wanted to show that I know what that is, I write G, because that's a G. On my homework, my classwork, it's going to have fill in the blanks, as you know. Well, okay, So if I see a note over here, let's say it's a half note. Okay, well, where is that half note? That half note is inside a space. It's between two lines. It's the second space. Here's the first space because it's the bottom. Here's the second space. What letter goes with that second space? A. This second space is always an A. So if I were to write a letter B right here, sorry, a whole note on that third line, first line, second line, third line, that was our A. Then this, after it's higher, it's going up the alphabet, it's going up the pitch scale, it's going up the staff. So if that space is an A, this line, yep, of course, it's a B. It's always a B. A B is always the middle line of our treble clef staff. A G is always this second line. An A is always the second space. Guess what's always right here? And you don't have to guess. Just follow that space and see what it's already called. It's always called the same thing. This is the letter C because it's in the third space. 1, 2, 3. 3 spaces. That third space is always C when we're on a treble clef because the treble clef circles the second line, which is called a G clef, and it circles that second line, meaning that this line is a G. So, because of that, every other space corresponds to. So now if this is G, and that goes up, and that's A, guess what? If I go down, what's going to be before G in the alphabet? Because it's not an A, right? This is before G, so A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So this space is an F. Now, we don't know an F yet in flutophone, so don't go playing any F, because we don't know it yet. I mean, it's on your fingering chart, but you don't need it yet. But guess what? We're going to need it when we play Elmo. So, anyway, on your homework, you have to fill in the blanks just like this. You have to find what the place is that the note head sits in. Not the stem, not where it ends, not the top of it, but where it sits. This note has a line through it. This B has a line through it. Follow the line, see what that is. Follow the line, find out what it is. This is an A because it's in the first, second space. Everything in the second space is going to be an A. Same thing with this C. This C is in the third space. Everything on the third space is a C. Always, when it's on a treble clef. There are other kinds of clefs too, but you're worried about treble clef because flutophone is always written on treble clef. G, A, B, C, D. Same thing with these. They're on those same places. All right. So what letter do you think goes here? It's after D. It's in the next space. What could it be? Yeah, you're right. It's an E. Now, we don't know that on the flutophone yet, and we don't have one on the flutophone, so you don't need to worry about that. But the notes we know on flute are 3 fingers for G, 2 fingers for A, 1 finger for B, just your thumb for C, and no fingers for D. Those are our letters on the staff that we know. I want you to do your classwork assignment, find what letter it is, write it underneath, and then turn it in. Please don't turn in blank papers. Okay, I can't wait to get your stuff. Thank you so much. Have fun. Goodbye, flutophones.